Hey everybody, and welcome to my third Friday showcase for Inktober. If you haven't seen any of my previous videos, I am doing a Friday showcase for my favorite prompt every week of October. Technically only the 4 Fridays of this month. And I am following Jake Parker's official prompt list. This is also my first time participating in Inktober, and I am not the best at sketching or drawing, especially not inking, because I usually don't do that. I usually just draw. So I'm really using this as a way to help my drawing and to practice drawing more. So my favorite prompt for this week was actually graceful, which I believe was Tuesday's prompt, but I didn't get a chance to record that day, so I went with my second favorite prompt, which was filthy, which was Wednesday's prompt. So I'm going to be using paper from my Canson Mixed Media journal, and I cut the paper into 4 pieces, so I actually end up with 5 inches by 3.5, and I get 4 cards per piece of paper. And I did this as kind of a time saver, just so it's not as overwhelming, and that way I will hopefully actually finish the challenge. So I'm also going to be using the Staedtler Mars Lunograph drawing pencils, and the ones that I use are F and 3B. And I like these pencils because you get a wide variety of different leads, and the F is super easy to erase, which is why I use it. I'm also going to be using the Staedtler pigment liners in 0.1, 0.3, 0.5, and 0.7 millimeter, as well as Black India ink by Daler Rowney. I'm also going to be using a variety of Daler Rowney brushes. And I like coloring them too, so I use my Darren Inktense pencils because I'd like to practice with them as well. I have some Magic Fly watercolor brush pens as well as the Pentel Aquash brush. And then I've been trying to use my Wink of Stella in every single Inktober piece to kind of create a glittery aspect. And I'm going to be using my Uniposca pen in 0.7 millimeters for just white details and highlights. I'm going to be using my ruler just to create some lines. So at first I envisioned a close-up of Oscar the Grouch, which was who I thought of immediately when I seen the prompt filthy. But then I decided that I kind of wanted a little bit of a background to this, and I more wanted to focus on the background than Oscar himself. So I decided just to draw him on a trash can, or in a trash can on the street, with a little bit of a cityscape behind him. So I did struggle a little bit with the handles of this garbage can. I definitely could not get the perspective right on that, and like I said, I was a little bit pressed for time, so I didn't have much time to put into this, which was kind of sucked. I might actually go back and redo this one later on when I'm not so busy. It's getting closer to Christmas, and I always do paintings for my family for Christmas, so I've really got a lot on my plate right now. Add Inktober into the mix, and it is just mayhem, but I am loving this, and I am finding that the more I draw, the better that the drawing comes to me. So here I am just putting a little bit of garbage on the ground beside the garbage can, and then just some flies flying around in the air. And I wanted to have a highway dividing Oscar and the buildings, which also helped me fill up quite a bit of space as well, which was great. So I decided to have just a couple of normal office buildings and then a hotel-like structure in the center. And my reason for that is because I wanted my glitter aspect to be the lights. And then I also decided to draw a street lamp just above Oscar, so he was illuminated in the light. And that gave me another bit of a glitter aspect. So next I'm going in with my 0.1 pigment liner, and I'm going to ink the whole page before erasing the lines. And I like using the 0.1 pigment liner to pretty much ink in everything, and then I'll go back and use my other pigment liners just to create some thicker lines and some extra interest into the piece. The inking process in Inktober is really new to me. I usually really don't ink anything. Like I said, I usually just sketch in pencil, and then I don't even usually color my drawings, so just the whole inking process was a little difficult at first. I feel like I am slowly getting better though. So even though I used a ruler to add in my lines in the beginning, I don't use a ruler when I'm inking because I kind of like more of that raw, sketchy feel. I'm not really worried on everything looking perfectly straight. Just as long as the picture itself is interesting, that's all I'm aiming for. So now I'm just going in with a basic white eraser and erasing all of the pencil lines. And then here I'm going in with the 0.7 in around the garbage can because I really wanted that to stand out. And then I also use it on the buildings, or different aspects of the buildings anyways. Another part that I really wanted to stand out was that lamppost. I wanted a lot of the closer stuff to be a little bit darker in lines, and then the farther stuff to be just a little bit thinner for the most part. So next I'm going in with the 0.5, and I'm just outlining some other stuff to make it pop a little bit more, but not quite as much as those 0.7 lines. And then I do go back in and I roughly sketch out some plants in front of the hotel just to kind of fill that space there. So next I'm going in with the 0.3 to create some lines to suggest shadows. And now I'm going to use the India ink to add, this actually ended up being quite gray compared to most of my other Inktobers. But that's kind of what I was planning for this. That's why I wanted to do the cityscape, because I'm really enjoying practicing with the ink. And I feel like I am definitely getting better at making it look completely opaque, where I don't really know how to explain it, but where it's almost like one solid color. I find that with the ink it's really hard to get it where there's not blotches in it, and as you can see I'm still not that great at doing that. I'm not even sure if you can do that with ink, but for the most part I think I'm getting a lot better with it than my initial first Inktobers when I started using this. So another neat trick that I kind of picked up was using a paper towel to blot out the excess ink to make it a little bit lighter and get rid of those little blobs there that are going to dry darker. And that trick is actually really working for me. I don't know if anybody else uses that or not, but I'd assume it probably is a thing. So I initially was just going to do the middle building with the ink, but I did decide to do all 3 buildings in ink instead. So I initially was going to do this building red, but I don't know why I decided against that. I think I was just a little bit worried that it would look funny. So next we're going to move on to coloring the image. I'm going to be using iron green, teal green, and apple green for Oscar, and then Payne's gray and neutral gray for the garbage can. For the windows, I'm going to be using Chinese ink and cadmium yellow. The Chinese ink is going to suggest that some lights are off, whereas the cadmium yellow is going to make it look like some lights are on in the hotel. So I'm first going to go in and color Oscar. I'm going to use the iron green for my shadows, and then the teal green to blend into the apple green, which will be the highlights. And same for the garbage can. I'm going to be using neutral gray on the inside of those little indentations in the garbage can, and then around where I want the shadows to be, and I'm going to use the Payne's gray for the rest of the garbage can. Next we'll move on to the hotel windows. I actually did put a little bit of Chinese ink on the bricks that I have on the building to the left, but I actually forget about it and I don't go and activate it till later on in the video. And then the building on the right I kind of envisioned as more of like an office building, and since it's nighttime I didn't want any lights to be on in there. I wanted it to be completely dark, but in reality I guess most office buildings actually do keep some of their lights on at night. So moving on to the lamppost, I'm going to use Payne's gray for that as well, and my purple pen stopped working on me, so I had to switch to blue for writing. I'm also going to be using Sicilian yellow for the glow in the lamppost. For the apple core we'll be using chili red and Sicilian yellow. And for the plants, we'll be using chili red for the pots that they sit in, and then iron green and teal green. The paper, we're going to use the Sicilian yellow, and then for the doors of the office building, we're going to be using Payne's gray and red oxide. This was a little bit different for me because I usually don't use so many neutral colors. I do like this piece, but my taste is for more bright colors that pop a lot more, so this was really a challenge for me. And whereas I do like it, it's just not as eye-catching as I feel like it could be. But I also wanted to go with more natural colors because it's more of a natural scene. So next I'm just putting Payne's gray on the lines that suggest the cracks on the sidewalk, just to kind of deepen them a little bit. And right now I'm adding stars to the sky, and I did not realize that my camera was not in frame, so I apologize for that. I also put some highlights on the lamppost, and I whiten up the fly's wings, as well as I completely go over Oscar's eyes because I kind of got some green in the whites of his eyes. So there I realized I was out of focus and decided to go back and add a few more stars into the sky. I put Oscar's eyes back in, add a little bit more highlights to the trees, and then here I am going in with my glitter aspects, which again was the yellow lights and then the lamppost. So here is the piece finished, and I hope you guys enjoyed this Inktober showcase. If you're interested, be sure to look out for my fourth and final Inktober showcase, and then I'm hoping to do a full sketchbook flip. I'm hoping to have that done by the 1st or 2nd November. So if you guys are interested, keep an eye out or subscribe to my channel so you don't miss it. You could press the notification bar so you get notified when when I upload it to YouTube. And other than that, I will see you guys hopefully next time. Thanks for watching.